Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Very good afternoon, everyone. So welcome back to the second half of the today's session. So we are further going to work on the other sensors and finishing these sensors. We'll also see, the time. I think we have some more. We'll be having some more time where I can just show you uh, the standalone of this sensors, right? So I showed you today morning the standalone of inbuilt sensors, like the button LED. Yeah, we saw that how to do it. Today we'll also see the other protocols. We saw part of the protocols also. I2C is one thing which is pending, which I'll show you next. Meanwhile, I'll just show you the other sensors also. There are two more sensors I have. One sensor I can develop and show the application. The other sensors, other one sensor, accelerometer sensor, is like quite complex to design. So I'll just guide you how to do that because if I start developing, it will take more time to do that. It will be beyond the scheduled hour. That's the reason. So I'll show you how to do that. And further, if time permits, I'll also show you how to connect your MyRio in wireless. Right? Maybe I'll not connect it, but I'll show you the procedure. I'll tell you why. The reason is right now I'm connected to my network, office network, where I can just stream my video. All right. So when I tether or hotspot, I switch on the hotspot of my MyRio. So the MyRio will be now the generating the Wi-Fi. So I can connect my laptop to that MyRio so that I can communicate with them wirelessly. So this is the procedure we basically do. All right. So now my laptop has to get disconnected from the Wi-Fi which I'm connecting right now, the office Wi-Fi which I'm using, right? So that gets disconnected from there and gets connected to the MyRio Wi-Fi. And with that Wi-Fi, I'll be able to do the communication from my sensor data, whatever it is. I today morning you saw, right? I was using a USB to serial cable. So that cable will be removed. Rather, it will be connected through a Wi-Fi, and I'll be using it in the Wi-Fi. All right. And yes, once again, coming back to your data dashboard, whatever you saw yesterday, or even your connecting some other third-party devices like a robots or whatever it is. So if you have Wi-Fi module and other stuffs included in them, you can connect to this MyRio's Wi-Fi. It has a hotspot, as I told you. So you can communicate with your device and the sensor, and once again the phone or mobile or laptop. Everything will be connected on the same network, and we can just share the data. Right? On this regards, we just saw yesterday how to do that. On the final day of this 5 days program, once again we'll come back and we'll see how to do IoT also. So IoT is like something even beyond that. Not only pushing the data to the Wi-Fi and calling it back. That is, there are three types of IoT we basically have. We have a commercial IoT, we have a industrial IoT, we also have personal IoT. All right. Personal IoT is a very small range where we'll be communicating with a Bluetooth range or a Zigbee range within few meters, not even more than 5 to 6 meters. It will be within a few meters. So that is personal IoT, and then comes personal IoT basically used to communicate the devices of a personal use. For example, wallet, phones, wristwatch, earphone, phone. Your cell phones, your laptops. These are like some of the devices which we use for our personal use. You can communicate with them. Then going further, we'll be connecting the data to the Wi-Fi, right? So that I'll connect the data to the Wi-Fi, share the data to the Wi-Fi, and from one room to other room or one department in one single floor of a building, wherever the Wi-Fi range is available, I can just communicate through Wi-Fi to them, and that is fine. Yes. And number 3 is going to be the best one, which is going to be the industrial IoT, which we'll have a demonstration on the Friday, where we can push the data into the cloud in such a way that it goes to the internet, and you have to create a memory storage unit in the cloud, in the network, so that your data will be stored there for a pretty amount of time. And whenever you wanted to bring it back to your application, yes, it's possible. You can just bring it back. All right. So this is how basically this works. This entire application basically works. Pushing the data to the cloud and getting back. So today, at the last session, I'll be also, after finishing the sensor demos. Sensor to some extent we have seen all. Still I2C is pending. I'll just show you that I2C also. And one more sensor, apart from I2C, I have one more SPI sensor. I'll just show you that also. And a standalone application. One standalone application I've already created. I'll just show you that. That's pretty simple only. Okay. So these all I'll just show you. And finishing that, we'll go for the Wi-Fi hotspot switching on from your MyRio. So that's going to be the today's agenda for the session today. The last part it's going to be, if the time permits, we'll be doing it. Okay. So quickly I'll try to come back to my camera, which I have. So I'll just switch on what sensor I'm going to use. So I'm going to use a light ambient sensor. Can you see here? If you see here, I'm going to use a light ambient sensor. Okay, so you people can see this. So this once again has a pinout connection. So I'll just quickly show you the pinout connections. This will be using, can you see the pinouts? Yeah, so CS is chip select. Yeah, CS is chip select, and then NC stands for no connection. You know that. SDO is nothing but your SDA, signal data out. SCK is signal clock, then ground, then VCC. So this is a simple connection. Only thing is we have a chip select with this, whereas in the previous application we didn't have a chip select, we didn't use it. Now I'm going to show you how to use the chip select also for your SPI. All right. So as the number, the CS basically stands for DIO pin. So what I'll do is I'm gonna quickly do the connection to you people and show you. So I'll also open my Myrio pinout connection window. Yes. So and also this one. So keeping them side by side, so you can see what connections I'm making. So it's going to be pretty simple. The same way, we'll have a 3.3 volt supply pin, all right, which goes to your VCC. All right, which goes to your VCC. Yeah, can you see which goes to your VCC? The first pin is VCC from your 3.3, the 33rd pin. Right, you can see the the parallel photo window, and then I'll take a grounding. This is the same what we did before also. All right. So finishing this, I'm also gonna connect my clock pulse. So SCK basically stands for clock. So you can see here the clock pulse is here. So can you see the clock pulse is here? Okay. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th pin is gonna be clock. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th pin is clock. All right. 7th pin is clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th pin is clock, and connect to the clock of this device. All right, the peripheral. And then we need one more wire for the. So this device, okay, this peripheral is a light ambient sensor. I'll tell you what is this device first of all. This is a light ambient sensor. So this light ambient sensor basically measures the light information which falls on the sensor. It's like a photodiode, okay? So it measures the light information and it's gonna pass you the information. So this time we are gonna use master out slave. Master in slave out. Okay, so it's gonna be pin number 6 from the top. Then we are going to use a meso pin, the nearby to the previous pin, exactly the next one. Okay, I repeat what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm going to collect the data from the sensor. It's a light ambient sensor. So the sensor will be giving me the light information. So I'm collecting it and I'm going to receive it in your Myrio and plot it in your window and show you in LabVIEW. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to use a meso window. Previously, we used a MOSI. MOSI is like, we were writing the data from the master to the slave. What data to be shown on the LCD, we are writing it. Right. This time it's going to be in the reverse. We are going to read the data from the sensor. That's the reason I just preferred this sensor again. So this has a meso, which is nothing but your master in slave out. The sensor is giving you the data. We are collecting in master. Sensor is a slave, so it is slave out, master in. Okay. and then one DIO pin connection, especially for your DIO application, so that you can use this for a chip select. Can you see there's a chip select pin? I'll close this. I'm going to connect it to DIO 0. So DIO 0 is somewhere here. All right, this is DIO 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sixth pin from the last. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth pin from the last. So this is the connection I have made. So hope it is visible now. Can you see? This is the connection I have made. Okay, so basically 5 connection comes into picture. One ground, one supply, then clock, SDA, then one chip select pin. So whenever I want to switch on and switch off chip select, I'm going to do that. So very first you have to handle your chip select. That will be the most important part. So I'll take your LabVIEW program. So I'll connect my MyRio to it. It was saying it was already using some other software logic inside. Say okay. So I'll say new VI. I take a new VI. So in this VI, I'm going to write a program to select the chip and read the data from the light ambient sensor using SPI protocol. That's what I'm going to do. This time I can prefer using high level VI, the Express VI, so that every time I just showed you a demo with a low level. Maybe the next one, once again, I'll go for a low level if you want. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go for SPI. Before that, I'm supposed to switch on the chip select. Save select I'm supposed to do, right? So you know that I showed you, I used the pin number DIO 0 to select the chip. Okay. So whenever I want this slave to give me the data, I'll leave it to be false. Whenever I want it to be stop giving me the data, I'll give you a true. So by default, it will be in true. So when the communication starts is when you pass a low, the communication starts. When you give a high, the communication stops. Okay. So I'm supposed to first configure the digital output pin. So digital output is from the MyRio, it is out. So the master is a MyRio. MyRio is gonna digitally control the chip select, which sensor is supposed to be talking to me. So I'll drag and drop this here. Yes. So I'm supposed to configure the pin connection. So this is pretty easier compared to your low level items, but low level items consumes less memory compared to your high level. Okay. For B, I once again use B. Maybe next time I'll use A. Okay. So I'll just select B, DIO 0, which is pin number 11, which I've done the connection already. From that pin, I'm connected to the chip select, and I'm gonna mark a false. Why am I marking a false is when I give a false, what happens is that particular sensor is giving the chance, or like it's the chip select, I'm selecting that particular sensor. All right. So then comes your SPI protocol. So MyRio. So I'll go for SPI. Last time SPI I used a low level here, right? So I'll go to low level usually, SPI, and I'll just use it. See, some part of your code can be, see, for digital you're using Express VI, and for SPI you can using a low level VI. It's fine. You can use whatever maybe it is. You can use them. Okay. So they're all same, but the way we configure is different. This time I'm going to take a SPI Express VI. All right. I'm supposed to configure this. This time I'll configure in a different way if you want. So you can see that A and B I have. I'm going to select B connector, and I'm going to read the data. Okay, I'm going to read the data. Frequency can be okay. Frame length, I can suggest whatever I wish. 8 it can be. Last time we did 8, so this time I'll go for 16. Only difference is it will read 16 data. If it is 8-bit, it will read 8-bit data. That is all it is. And clock is whether you wanted to acquire the data in the leading edge or the trial edge. I'll say I want it in the trial edge. Last time we did for a leading edge, right? And clock polarity, last time we did low. This time we'll go for high. It's nothing but on the high pulse of the clock, you're gonna transmit and receive the data. Before we were doing it in the low pulse, and whether it is on the trailing edge or the leading edge, I'm just changing them. Let this be more significant bit first, because anyway the data what we get is going to be jumbled. We'll just arrange them. So it can be either way. So most significant bit can it be, not an issue. I'll say, okay. So it's all about how we configure the communication to be. All right. So how many frames you want to read? For every iteration, I want to read 1 frame data. All right. You can just try to acquire multiple frames also, but I'm trying to do it this way. Okay. So I'm going to use a while loop also. That's why I'm just saying 1 loop. 1 frame. So I'll use this error out. See here, the error why am I using is it will make your code to run sequentially. First, this executes, and then since there is a wire connected, this SPI express VI will not execute unless this digital output executes. Getting it? Yes. So finishing this, once again I'm gonna leave the chip select deselected inactive. So that to do that, once again what I'll do is I'll go to MyRio. Once again digital out. Once again drag and drop the same function. Once again the same digital pin I'm gonna use. It's gonna be B. Okay, and say okay, the same, because I wrote a true here. It's like a start bit, and this is going to be this time false. Okay, so this will mark the start and this will mark the end. So you select the chip, read the data, and deselect it. And since we are going to enclose the entire code inside a while loop, just watch out. So I'll enclose the entire code like this inside a while loop. Same as such, I'll connect it so that it's going to be in sequence. So you can see I'm just connecting them all in sequence. So first, this particular item works. This particular item which is going to select, or like it is going to make the chip select active. So slave, it's going to make it active. So high will come from this pin, and I'm connected to the low will come from this pin. So I'm connected to the chip select of the sensor. So that particular sensor will be ready to give the data. Then reading the data, finish reading the data. The data comes from your frame out. I'll do the logic also. Following this, I'll do the logic, no issues. All right. And then the data, once again, I'm just writing it true so that the chip select is inactive. Okay. So I'll go to array. I'll use index array. The reason is here the frames are coming and I want only one data. So since there are multiple data coming in the array format, I want only one data. So I use index array and take only one element from it. It's going to be array of one element only because you said the frame count is 1. So array of one element you're going to get. You understanding? Frame count is 1, but always you'll get an array. So if you say 2 here, you'll get array of 2 data here. And I told you in the beginning, the wires will have a different size. The wires will have different size, I told you, right? So if I say 1 here, it's going to be array of one element. I'm going to take it into an element. All right. So here you'll get the information, but this information, since we said most significant bit first, you are supposed to do a simple manipulation of logical shift. So logical shift is nothing but moving the bits to a required position. Okay. So what happens is if I say 1 in this position, so I'll tell you how this works. So you have the data here, and this is the y. It's nothing but how many positions you want to shift. So if you say 1, what happens is the entire bit, let me say if it is 1011, the first one will shift back and it will turn into 1011 will turn into 0111 because of 1 the front went to the back. You shifted one data. So if you say 2, so 1011 will turn into 1101. The one in the front also went back, the one in the 0 also went back. So in this case, 16-bit data we have, I'm supposed to shift it -5, which means that from the back, I want to bring it to the front. From the back, I want to bring it to the front. This is a logical shift. There is a function called logical shift. Right click, numeric, data manipulation. I repeat, right click, numeric, data manipulation, logical shift. All right, it's a logical shift. Okay, and then I'm going to use a conversion. I'm going to convert into U8 data. Right? The reason is I'm going to show the intensity from 0 to 255 range. Okay, So I'm converting the 16-bit data into a 8-bit data. You can also, here you can configure the data to be in the SPI. You can configure to be 8-bit data, so you don't have to do the conversion. I configure to 16-bit so that it will acquire 16 information. Either way, it's fine. Okay. So I want to plot it on the front panel. To plot it, I can give a meter. A meter or a gauge, anything is fine. I want this to be 255. The reason 255 is 8-bit data, I said, and it is unsigned 8-bit data. So from 0 to 256 data it will take. So the value it can take is maximum is 0 to 255. I'll put a meter like this. Clear? From 0 to 255, depending upon the sensor data. So here you can see that this is DBL, this is U8. If you connect it, you'll get a correction dot. We saw this on the first day. So I'll right click on this gauge, representation, unsigned 8-bit. All right. And you want the loop to stop on your stop button click, creating a stop button. So you want the data to be visibly seen. If not, it will be very fast. So putting a small delay, a delay of 100 milliseconds. This is common thing which you usually do when you use a while loop. All right. Repeating how this works. So very first, when the loop starts running, you're configuring the digital output. So the digital output passes false to your sensor. So the chip select of the sensor or the save select to the sensor. So that sensor will know that it is supposed to respond. So then you can see that the sensor will be collecting the data anyway and will be passing the data to the SPI. And collecting the data, we are doing a small manipulation and converting it back to U8 to represent the data in gauge. Finishing this process, you are once again giving true to the chip select so that that particular sensor will be not talking to you only when the false comes, right? Start bit and stop bit kind of thing. All right. Yes. And this is in a loop. So you'll see that it goes off, read data on, off, read data on. By this method, we'll keep on giving a data on a trial end. Okay. We are already configured to be a trialing end. So what I'll do is I'll also give a digital display to this and place it here. So we can see what values basically it is showing. All right. So I'll also parallelly save this program. So I'm gonna go into Atal. So today's protocol. So this is gonna be light ambient sensor, let's say. It's gonna be SPI protocol. Okay. I'm just saving this file. Yes. I'll also parallelly open the camera to you people so you can see what's happening. Yeah. Just quickly arrange it so you can see. So this is going to be the light intensity. All right. Right, the sensor seems to be here. Or let it be like this. Yeah. So I'll run the program. Save it. So it deploys the program. You can see it is marking a value of 64 because of the daylight, and the windows are also open behind. If I close it with my hand, you can see there is a drop in the sensor value. Okay. So there's a drop in the sensor value. If I take my hand, can you see? I'll close it completely. It's nearly zero, fully dark. I'll take one hand, little light is going in. I'll take both my hands. You can see the sensor data is coming. So what I'll do is I'll use my torchlight, so that all right. So I'm hitting a torchlight. Can you see? So when I take it out, it comes down. So a torchlight value also I can just increase. You know this, right? So now you can see that it's a high beam. I'm taking it out. Coming closer, coming further, closer and further. All right. See, just see. I'll switch off the light quickly. It will dip. Right? If I close it, then it is dark. All right. So this is how this light intensity works. We have just generated a train pulse. If you have noticed, we have generated a train pulse. Off, on, off, on, off, on. Whenever it is off, we are collecting the data. Whenever it is on, we are not doing anything. All right. Yes. So any queries related to this, I was using a ExpressVI to do this. It's pretty easier and quicker to configure when we use a ExpressVI. All right. Any queries? This is also SPI. Next time I'm going to show you I2C. I2C is also pretty easy only. We have already done a LCD. I'll just show you LCD, or I have one more sensor. I'll show that other sensor. All right. So I'll come back to the window. Any queries, anyone? Any queries?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. If this is clear, what will I do is, I'll show you one more application. I'll remove all these wires. All right, I'll remove all these wires. So I'll quickly do the connection for your accelerometer. So this is the accelerometer sensor we have here. So I think now you'll be pretty familiar with how this works basically. So what I'll do is, I'll show you the connection diagram for this sensor. So you see, whatever you see here is a connection diagram for the sensor, and this uses I2C. I already made it. So this basically uses I2C. So it's PMOD ACL. This is a sensor name, and this is the connection we are supposed to do. So what will I do is, I'll show you what are the connections I'm doing parallelly. That's all. All right. So this is the connection we are going to do. When I'm doing the connection, I'll parallelly explain what is the connection is basically. Okay. This time I'm going to use a A connector. Even in the picture you can see it is a A connector. You can use either one, A or B. It doesn't matter. So first pin as usual, it's going to be a high 3.3 volt VCC. All right. Yes. Then I'll take a black color wire, which always is a ground. I usually use black for ground, so that it is always familiar to me that I'm always doing the right color connection. Okay. So irrespective of what is there, I'm just using only red and black for my supply and ground. All right. Then if you see the pin connections here, so you can see that, as I told you in the beginning, I2C uses only two values. It is SDA and SCL. So SDA is signal data, SCL is clock. Okay, so these two wires I'm going to connect. So this pin connection, as per the pin connection of this device, so you can see that. So this yellow color goes here. So I'm also once again going to use a same yellow color because I have one. So this is going to be the clock pulse. Clock pulse, I'm using yellow color wire. Connecting it here. That's a clock pin of the device peripheral. Okay. Then I'll take another wire. Maybe a white color one. So this is going to be the data. exactly the second pin of that. So you can see here in the pin connection also, as we have shown here. All right, can you see? So sorry, this is a the one white color pin we are using for a clock, and the yellow we used it for SDA data. All right, so these are the pin connection. So we have connected 33, 34, 32, 30. These are the 4 pins we are connected. All right, and once again, to set the device, we have to generate a DIO pin. Okay, so which device you are going to talk, and there is also interrupt connection. For that, you are going to use the DIO pins here. So these are the DIO pins we have. So I'm going to use the DIO pins to configure it. All right. So to do that configuration, okay. So the pin connection wise, pretty loose, it came out. All right. Fine. Then last connection. This is for one more DIO. Only problem is this might be pretty loose, so that if I shake it or try to show you a demo, it might get disconnected. That is the only problem we might be facing. You can see here the connection diagrams. All right, once again, I'll just verify it. So hopefully it is right. In case it's not working, we'll just check it later. All right, so I've fixed it in such a way it is visible. Yes. All right, so I have already made a code for this. I'll show that. First of all, I'll disconnect this already existing code. These are the codes where this is a project where we did all the codes, the standalone application project. Morning we created, and we did a lot of experiments under this. You can see a lot of VIs we have done. So I'll open the actual application. This is a Myrio, which is going to be showing the I2C for accelerometer. So I'll gonna connect it to this one. Yeah. Attempting to connect. Yes, connected. All right. So I'll keep this aside so that you can see both what I'm doing, both the windows. All right, this is accelerometer information we are going to show. Same like last time we used the accelerometer inside the Myrio, right? Hope you have seen it. So you can see it's x-axis, green is y, blue is z. Okay, so coming back to the code, we'll see the code because it's a complex code. You can see the complex code. You have to configure all the registers and data. This is the registers and this is the data. It's a 2D data. First day I told you 2D data will have double lines, right? 2D data. This is 1D data. This is scalar data. All these are here. And inside also we are configuring a lot of things. I'm going to quickly tell you what is this basically we are doing. All right. So before that, I'll quickly first run the program, leaving the camera on the side so that you can see both the screens. I'll first show the output. So we'll also confirm that the connection is all right. Yeah, the connections are fine. So you can see that if I tap the table, here also, and if I move the hardware also, you can see the vibrations coming in. Can you see if I hit the sensors? So not to disturb it too much. Okay, just to measure the changes in the vibration. All right. Yeah, so the connection was fine. So no issues about the connection. So hope you people understood the connection also, why to do, where to do, what to do. So it's nothing but it's only two pins we have. One is clock pin and one is SDA. SDA stands for data pin. Okay. So with this connection, this sensor works. I want to quickly tell you about the sensor. See here, there are much things you have to configure. The list of things you are supposed to configure is listed out here. First one is baud rate. You should know what register which is handling the baud rate and what value to pass. All right, I'll show you the data sheet. So it is all based on the data sheet. I'll open the data sheet. So you can see this is the accelerometer's data sheet. So you will need a lot of patience to go through it. So there are a lot of data configuration, registration configurations you have for the sensor. All right, so I'll scroll down about this sensor. When I go through it, you will see that, for example, let me say, I want to configure the baud rate to be 200, for example. Okay, so this is the output rate, that is baud rate. Okay, so the bandwidth rate. Okay, so if I want to configure to 200 or configure to 100 or bandwidth, I want to configure to be 200, let me say. Okay, output will be 400 rate. Okay, so the code should be 1100. Okay, the value should be 1100. So I have to convert into a hexadecimal value. This is a decimal, this is a binary value. I have to convert into a hexadecimal value. Okay, and that hexadecimal value I'm supposed to write. And here also you should know which sensor, which register. This is a value for the register. What register? If you read this, you'll come to know. Okay, so if you want to put this into auto sleep, what to do? Can you see? So the bit bandwidth rate register is 0x2c. Sorry. Okay, so bandwidth register is 0x2c. Okay. So here, if I come back to the code, can you see 2c? X2c is now configured to be hexadecimal. The value they are given is 0a, converted value. Okay, so they have set that data rate equal to 100 hertz as per the tabular column. This is how you find it. I have also made multiple things. I'll keep this aside so you can see this. Okay, so I have just copied and pasted that tabular column so that you can see here. So as per the tabular column, you're supposed to configure it to be 100 hertz. If you want it to be 100 hertz, this is 100 hertz. Okay, so you have to configure 1010 and converting into hexadecimal, it is 0a. All right, and this is to read the data. So this is inside the while loop. I'll come back to it later. So then, if you want to read or write, data format, can you see whether you want to read the data or write the data? To select that, so you can see the register number is 0x31. Okay, so 0x31. So you have to configure this. What range you want to configure? How you want the full resolution you want to use, or you want to see the interrupt inverted self-test you want to do. Whether you want to enable the SPI or I2C. If you leave this low, this will be I2C. If you leave this high, it will be SPI conversion. All right. So based on the 010101, some conversion will come. So that I'm here leaving it to be full resolution. Resolution here is 13-bit resolution is the sensor's resolution. So here it will be self-test. I'm not doing 00. This is going to be 0 because I'm doing I2C. So I don't want to invert the interrupt 00. This is anyway 0 only, always 0. So full resolution I want, right? So it's going to be 1 and 1. So full resolution. And then range I want it to be plus or minus 16G. So this configuration also we have to go through the full document. You will know what values to come. 01, 0001, whatever maybe it is. That configuration comes in the data sheet. You have to go through it. And based on this, you can see for all the registers I've configured. I've written the 2C. Okay, it's bandwidth 2C. I showed you, right, how this works. Okay, bandwidth 0A, how it works, it's showing here. So it's low power, the 4 data we write. 2C is the bandwidth rate, and 2.1 is the duration, how much you want. Okay, so I'm just giving to millisecond, 10 millisecond. So configuring 2x 10. I mean 2.1 10. So it's nothing but register is 2.1, duration. Okay, how much time you want to read and write. Okay, so 2E is gonna be for interrupt enable or disable. Here I'm gonna enable the interrupt, so you can see that I'm configuring accordingly. So setting the proper values, that's the reason I've just already made it, because to do the conversion and all and setting the register, going through the data sheet, it will take a lot of time to do this. Okay, so by this mean I've already configured everything. Okay, and one thing is the address of this device is 1D, hexadecimal 1D, 0x1D. So you can see that I've configured PMOD ACL. ACL is accelerometer sensor information. So address is 0x1D I've configured. Can you see the slave address is 0x1D? This is the address I told you, right? So to select which device is going to work, you have to supposed to select the address for that. So this device address is 1D, 0x1D. Okay, and here the very simple configuration like how we did last time. Okay, open, configure, write, then read and write. Okay, so how this basically works is I'm choosing the channel to be I2C of A connector. You have two connectors, right? Last time we connected SPA and all for B. This time it can be A. So what is the speed you want to communicate with? You want a standard mode or a fast mode? I told you, since I2C is a half duplex, you can't attain higher speed. Maximum speed usually it can attain a few kbps only, not more. Okay, so you can see that I'm choosing it to be standard. I'm configuring it and then writing this commands so that your sensor gets initialized according to it. Okay, so this data's register and data I'm just configuring by writing it to the PMOD accelerometer. Clear? Yes. Then coming back here, there is a while loop. The while loop will be iterating many times. You know the while loop, right? So this is a while loop. The while loop will be iterating many times. Very simple. And then whenever there is an interrupt is nothing but, see, these are the digital pins I'm configured, right? So digital pin, based on that, whenever there is an interrupt is coming, I'm gonna do this process. Okay, what is this process doing? Once again, I'll come back to the this window. Can you see here? So the registers 32 to 37 is data, accelerometer 0, accelerometer 1, accelerometer x0, x1, y0, y1, z0, z1. So every data comes in 2 different bits. So you have to combine them together. X0 and x1 should be combined together. Y0 and y1 should be combined together. Z0 and Z1 should be combined together. So accelerometer X has X data, Y data, Z data. So how I combine is, can you see here? Join numbers. There is a function where I'm just join the number. Okay. So what it does is, the symbols of resembles, 2 bits of data is there, it conjoins them, concatenate them. Okay. So whatever output comes from me, I'm doing it. Okay. So you can see that for 30 and 32, I'm reading the data. Same PMOD address. Can you see? 1D, the wire directly from here, it goes here. Then from here, it goes here. Okay. I'm reading the data from the registry 30 and 32, and I'm just building them into the right, design how I really want. So X, Y, Z, whatever maybe the X, Y, Z data is there, it is plotting, bundling them together so that it will plot in a single plot, right? X data, see, nothing but X data is here. Converting to I16, we saw this before. This is nothing but conjoining it. Whatever we are reading it, 2 pieces we get, we conjoin it, convert it, and show the data. And meanwhile, we are also doing the same thing for 3, all X, Y, and Z, bundling them together so you can plot it in the same plot, right? So this is all we are doing. So if I run this program, All right. So you'll be able to see that I'm knocking the table. So the vibration I'm creating. If you want a update to be pretty faster also, right? Or slower also, you can give some delay accordingly. Okay. So now as per the bandwidth information, this is working. Okay. So you can also make it a little faster also. But you have to check the proper configuration to this. Let me check it's working. Can you see it's pretty fast? I don't know if you can see. The data rate is pretty faster. Okay. Right? So this configuration is the one complex thing. Apart from that, everything is same. Right? Once again, read from which registry you want. That's it. It's pretty simple. Any queries related to this? You can just ask me. Any queries? So is it clear to everyone how this works basically? Can anyone give me the confirmation? There's some messages here. Sir, for car key sensor, okay. See, these are, when you talk about car, automotive, they basically use not I2C or SPI. They use CAN, LIN, or FlexRay protocol. Okay, so most of the automotive sector, they don't use these protocols. These protocols will be used for simple application where we just do serial communication. Okay, so for your car key and all, they'll be using CAN, FlexRay, or LIN. These are the three protocols usually we will be using. Fine. Hope I answered the question. Any other further queries you have related to this? Because with this, I'm just trying to close the sensor part because there are too much of sensors I've shown you. I don't know if you're taking hands-on also, I don't know. Because you're parallelly trying, I can give you some time to try. I'm not sure if you're trying. Is there anybody who's trying to do parallelly and see? Okay, you're welcome. Always welcome. So, any other further queries? Or anyone who wants to try it? Do you people know how to try this, how to simulate this device? Yesterday, did Mr. Rajkumar show you how to simulate this device so that you people also can program it? The software, right software you have installed, you don't even want the real device. You can simulate the device and you can use it. Is anyone trying hands-on? If not now, also later. I mean, going back to your home or like finishing the session. Is anyone trying to do the hands-on for this? If you are doing the hands-on, I can quickly show you how to simulate this device. So that you don't even want a proper physical device. Still, all these functions, all the, this functions, APIs which we drag and drop. All these functions, whatever we drag and drop, will not come in normal host. What I'm trying to say is, see, in a normal program where we do under a my computer, okay, without Myrio. If you add the Myrio, you'll be able to do a Myrio project. Okay, in a normal program, you will not see your Myrio function at all. So the environment is not available. It is disabled. Okay, so you have to add a Myrio here. All right, so to do that, I can quickly show you how to do that. So you can see there's a real-time Myrio which is connected. Okay, so I can right-click on this project name, new targets and devices. Okay, so usually what we do is discover an existing target. It is by default it is selected to this one. So we just check which Myrio we have connected or which device we have connected. After that, which Myrio. If there are multiple Myrio also, we can just try to connect it. Understand? You can see that it's already connected in the project. Fine, and it is also connected wirelessly. Okay, so the wireless also, the Wi-Fi was blinking from the morning. It means that it is already connected to the office network. Somebody has already connected before and it is still connecting. Automatically it is connecting. That is okay. Fine. So let me say you don't have a Myrio at all. If you don't have a Myrio, it's more similar to if I click on a real-time compact DAC, for example, it says no device. For you also, if you don't have a MyRio, it will say no device found. So in these cases, do not discover an existing target. If you want to simulate it, go for a new target or device. Click this one and go for MyRio. You can see I told you there are two different types of MyRio we have, 1900 and 1950. There are two different MyRios we have. This is a MyRio I was showing a demo. You can see the color also, symbol also, you can see the same device symbol we have, and say OK. All right. So now you can see that before we had only my computer, then I added a MyRio, and then now I'm adding a MyRio, but you can see the configuration is 0.0.0.0. unconfigured IP, but still you can right click new DI on the simulated device. This is a original device I have. If I disconnect it, it will be gone. Okay. So whereas right click on the simulated device VI. So once again, if I right click, you will have the environment, which means that you can drag and drop these SPI, I2C, button, LED. You can program it at least. All right, maybe you'll not get the output because the real-time sensor on the device or the processor or the FPGA, you don't have it. You'll not get it, but at least you'll get the environment. So you can develop the code. So you don't need the device to develop the code. You can develop the code without the device also. So once you finish the application, you feel like it is fine working. Then you want to test the real-time data. Then what you do is then you plug in, then change the IP address. Coming here, you can see it is 0.0.0, right? Right click on the device, properties, you can set the IP address whatever you wish. Okay. I can just set it, but already I have it. Can you see? This IP address I already have it. So to cause an issue, can you see? So for example, I can just say something else. Usually it is 122.22.11.2. I'm just using 1. Can you see here? Then you right click here and say connect. It will connect. You don't have to worry. Understanding this? It is like I'm just trying to say too much that you are unable to follow. Just openly tell me. Yeah, I understand. For the people who don't have device only, I'm saying. So you can simulate the device. This is how you simulate the device. You need the proper tool, software and toolkits to be installed. Then you can simulate it. If not, you can't simulate. Is it like too much for you people that you are not following, or it's very complex to follow, anything like that? Just let me know. Is it clear for you people? Any queries you people have? Any queries? It's like no queries, right? Can you just give a confirmation? Okay, there's no response. Okay. I'll consider it's like we don't have any queries. So I'll close all these data. If you're clear with this, I'll close this also. Yeah, even this one will not be needed. So I'm going to quickly show you how to configure this MyRio in wireless. All right. So we have a software called as Max. I'll close this and we'll open it from the beginning. So shall I show you the next topic? Shall we move to the next topic? Yeah, but I told you I'll show you how to do the wireless. Sorry. Okay. Last 5 minutes, I'll show you the deploying the code also in the sensor. I'll show you at the last. I forgot to show you that. It's okay. I'll show you. So what I'll do is I'll go for Max, NI Max. All right. I have NI Max. I'll launch NI Max. Okay, so Max stands for Measurement and Automation Explorer. This is a software that comes along with LabVIEW software. So once you install LabVIEW software, along with that, there is one more add-on software you will automatically get installed. The name is NI Max, Measurement and Automation Explorer. If you have already installed LabVIEW in your computer, you will see that there is a Max icon on the desktop, or you can search for it. This is a very, very, very important window when you're using a device hardware from NI. Okay, it's NI or like third-party hardware, doesn't matter. But if you're going to program it using LabVIEW, this window is very, very important. You need to come to this window to configure everything, in case if a device is needing a configuration. All right. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first explain how this window is made up of. So here on the left side, you have two categories. One is My System and one was a Remote System. My System and Remote System. My System is nothing but it is your computer. Remote System, it's any of the NI's embedded device will be classified under a remote system. I repeat, My System is your computer. Your computer which has a processor inside, and whatever processing unit it occupies, or like processing memory it takes, or what software it holds, what are the peripherals it can get interface to, everything will be mentioned over inside that particular My Computer category. And also parallelly you have one more category called as My Remote System. Okay, My System and My Remote System. So coming to your My Remote System, it will talk everything about your NI device, National Instrument device, which is connected to your computer. All right. I'll just open my System. You can see that devices and interfaces, right? So I'll expand devices and interfaces. You can say I have a Lenovo camera. My laptop is a Lenovo laptop. You can see Lenovo camera. You can also see USB camera, which are connected. Then I also have a Myrio. Okay. And Myrio, since it is connected USB, you can see it is connected via USB. There is no other, thing you can do with this. If I right click also, okay, there is nothing I get out of it. Okay. So it shows that physically your computer is connected to 3 peripherals. Okay. If I remove my USB camera, you'll see it is gone. I'll connect some other device. Okay. So you can see now I connected to my mouse. Okay. So it will be listing out everything, whatever you connected to your computer. So same way, if I come to my remote system, it shows the NI devices which are actually configurable devices which are available. You know that it is already displayed here. Here you'll see that already your Myrio is showing here. All right. But still once again it shows here because this is where it is physically connected. It shows that to your computer it is physically connected. But this is where under the remote system you can program it or you can configure it. All right. So if I choose my Myrio, there are 4 tabs you see here underneath. There are 4 tabs you see here underneath. So if I click on device, it will show the device related information. Data neighborhood, it shows the data neighborhood information. And if I select the software, can you see the software list of software which I have? If I expand this also, you can see what are the different types of LabVIEW software I have installed. Okay, so what are the different types of LabVIEW software I installed? It shows here. Simple. Okay, same message. When I click on Myrio, it shows the information related to the Myrio. Okay, so you can see what is the operating system running, or it's a Linux real-time ARM processor operating system. And the chip which is used is Xilinx Zynq chip is being used. All right, this is fine. This is all fine. You can see that by default, Ethernet is nothing but your wireless. See, why this is called as a Ethernet is all the Rio device except your Myrio works with your Ethernet port, Ethernet cable, because they are like high-end application with high-speed data transfer. They connect to your Ethernet cable. Whereas your Myrio is the only device which comes through USB cable. But still commonly they needed a wired connection is basically a Ethernet. They made it so common that if your device is connected through wire, it will be classified under a Ethernet port. Okay, even though it is communicating through USB. That's why they have already made a standard. It is not even dynamic. It is always a static IP you always have is 172.22.11.2. This is the IP you get when you always connect your device through cable. All right. So there is wireless also. I already configured a wireless. So you can see the wireless. So I'm going to quickly show you how to configure this wireless. There are 2 different types of configurations you have. Either you can connect your device to an existing network, which means that, let me say, if my office is already having a Wi-Fi, or I'm just using my phone, I'm just gonna switch on the hotspot. Okay, and my MyRio is supposed to connect to that hotspot, or my MyRio is supposed to connect to my office network, which is already existing network. That is one method. Second method is, you don't have a network here, you don't have a wireless network. My phone is also not having a hotspot. My office network is also, let me say, not good speed. Many people are connected to it, so it is going to lag. So I don't want to connect it. Then in that case, what you can do is, you can allow your MyRio to switch on the hotspot. Okay, so using that hotspot, you can connect to the MyRio and you can do the communication. So it's going to be like a peer-to-peer communication from your MyRio to your computer, from your computer to your MyRio. This cannot allow you to access the internet. This can only enable you to generate a connection between the data. It doesn't come to your internet. All right. So that, don't think that you can just browse or something. You will not have internet connection. Limited access you'll have. All right. So here, from the system setting tab, I'll move to the network setting tab. Network setting tab. This is where you're going to configure everything. Okay. So by default, for you people, it might look like this: disabled. Wireless mode will be disabled. I'll save this for some time. Okay. So you can see that disabled. By default, if your MyRio is not connected to any of the network, it will be disabled. If I come to system setting, you can see that the wireless is also not showing. Only the wired network is showing. All right. So I'll go to the network setting tab. Once again, here I'm going to show you how to create a network. How to create a network, I'm going to show you. So you can also connect to an existing network, wireless networking, right? Which I'm not doing. Yeah, I'm going to create a wireless network. Just watch it. This is very interesting to do this communication. So first of all, you're supposed to specify, okay, which country you follow. The reason is, every country uses their own frequency bandwidth, right? So that's the reason every phone number also has a prefix of +91 in India, or a 0. In other ways, we call it as 0. Okay. So same message, we have to choose a country so that our device is also communicating the same network. So SSID is nothing but it's the network ID. So usually you have a name for every network, right? So I'm going to name this network to be MyRio Wi-Fi. Any name is fine. MyRio Wi-Fi. I'm just giving it some name. So this will be the name you will be seeing in your phone or in your laptop also when you just switch on the Wi-Fi. Okay. So channel for India, it is always you have a better gain at channel number 10. So they have classified in such a way. If you go through the manuals, you come to know. Okay. So for India, it is recommended to go for 10. It works with all the channels with a lesser gain, which means that the distance between the device and your computer, I mean your MyRio device and your computer, it reduces or it is getting manipulated. That's it. And security, you can specify your open network so that anyone can connect to it easily. Or you want to go for a password, you can specify what password you really want to get. For example, let me say I wanted this password to be LabVIEW. Okay, so I'm creating a network. And here you can see, just make it DHCP only. The reason why we go for DHCP is nothing but it is a dynamic network allocation. See, if I have a MyRio is hotspot, switching on the hotspot in particular network. Okay, so it's usually 192.16.0.1 is your MyRio's network. Okay, when you hotspot. So now if anyone is trying to connect, automatically they should get connected to the network, right? So in that case, you have to say that it has to be DHCP only. You understanding this settings? These settings you have to do and say save. So once you do this, it's loading. That's why it's not responding. Right, let it load. So it's time to set the configuration on your MyRio. So to do this application, first of all, you have to connect it through wire. Because through wire only, you'll get the access of this MyRio. Through the wires, you're doing all these configurations in your MyRio. and let it a standalone module. I mean the Wi-Fi router module. All right, just give me 2 minutes. It's loading. You can see the not responding symbol on the title bar, which means that it is trying to set the data. Okay, just leave it for 2 minutes. It's configuring your MyVideo. And this you'll see is happening in your computers also if you're configuring it. It's not because of the speed of the computer, it's because your Max is trying to deploy all the required settings into your MyVideo. Because only then your MyVideo will act like a router, and it has all this feature. It will respond to only these wavelength and the bandwidth, and also the passwords have to be uploaded into it. Just give me a couple of minutes. Let it happen. So once this is completed, you will be able to see that my phone or my laptop, whichever is in this range of network Wi-Fi range, you'll see that this MyRio Wi-Fi name, my SSID, this will be visible everywhere, and you can connect it by giving the password of LabVIEW. Usually it happens. Yeah, restarted your MyRio. Okay. MyRio is trying to restart it itself so that it can boot up the settings. It's slower than usual. I don't know why. We'll relaunch the application. Yeah. Once again, I'll relaunch the application. I'm going to Max. Yes. So you should find the device under remote system. Once again. It's pretty slow today. I don't know. Just a minute. Let it reload. Yeah. This should be detected, and then we'll be using it. Well, MyRio is now, it needs a reset. Software reset is needed. It became an unstable, metastable state. It's okay. It will restart. Okay. Once it restarts, we'll be able to use it. I'm restarting the device. USB is unrecognized. No, this device has to be manually restarted. There is a software reset we have. We have to reset the software only, then it's going to respond. Till then it's not going to respond. But anyway, day after tomorrow I have IoT session also. Tomorrow you'll have FPGA session, and day after tomorrow you'll have IoT session. So in the IoT session, I'll just try to show you all this complete demonstration. All right. The reason is completely, the software is not going to get dumped now. So wireless, I can't just put it now. Maybe day after tomorrow, once again, I'll just show you. Then now the problem is, the MyRio is disconnected while it was happening. It was trying to deploy the configuration settings. Meanwhile, it got disconnected. Software disconnection happened, and based on that, it is not now responding. Only thing I have to do is I have to restart it. There's something called as a reset pin. So I'll show that if possible. So I have to reset it again, then it is going to be fine. But it will take some time. It will take half an hour to do that. Where you have to deploy the software also. Because there is a software running, right? OS running. So we have to reset also. And with that reset, it will be able to do that. Right? So any queries apart from this one anyway, I will just redo it so that you can be more familiar. Maybe it is now not sure how this works for you. I'll just show you another demo on Friday morning. So you'll be completely familiar with how this basically works. You can see that the settings are also not loading because of that same problem. Any other further queries you have? Okay, there is someone who's asking how I get Surface. Sir, depending upon how you are supposed to, which version of lab you are supposed to use, it depends on that. Which version of lab you are using? Which version lab you want to use? Just tell me. I'll tell you what are the softwares you have to install. Because for different softwares, you have different versions, different toolkits also. What I'll do is I'll take a notepad to show you people what are the softwares needed. See, to use your MyRio, first of all, what you need is you need LabVIEW. I'm using LabVIEW 2019. Okay, it's a basic version of LabVIEW. It doesn't have any add-ons, nothing. It will be there. Just basic LabVIEW. Okay, so the first thing you are supposed to install, and you can download it from the internet. Maybe if you try to download from the internet, you will get the latest version only, which is LabVIEW 2020. You will not get anything else. Okay, so once you install LabVIEW 2020, what are the add-on things you get is NI Max, and you also get NI Package Manager. So these are things you'll get. So once this is done, once you get this LabVIEW, you get these two software also. So once you can once you do this, you have to go to the NI Package Manager, launch NI Package Manager, which looks something like this. NI Package Manager, can you see? It looks something like this. This you will get it once you install LabVIEW itself. So once you launch that, that will be your downloader, which allows you to install the other remaining softwares. Okay, so after that, you're supposed to install real-time module. Again, 2020 only. Because if you are installing 2020 of LabVIEW, this also to be 2020. I'm using 2019 everywhere because I installed this in the system last year. So it is 2019 in my system. So only if you do this, your MyRio will get detected in your computer. And then after that, you need the all the functions, right? That is basically called as MyRio Toolkit 2019 I'm using. Okay, only then you can drag and drop all the functions, APIs. Okay, so that you'll get only after that. Okay. Then these two things are badly needed. Then if you are planning to do FPGA, this is additional add-on. Okay, this is not needed. So additional is FPGA. If you are looking out for FPGA programming, FPGA toolkit is needed. And then you have to compile the FPGA program, right? Compilation toolkit for LabVIEW FPGA. This software is needed. All right. So these are the softwares only you need to make your LabVIEW work. And this is additional anyway. If you are interested to have a FPGA program, tomorrow you will be having a FPGA program anyway, demonstration. But for basic thing to execute, your real time and MyRio, you get this. See, can you see here? So this package manager will look like this. So you can see this is the installed software, so whatever you have. You can just go and see what are the softwares installed in your computer here. It will be showing the list of softwares. Okay, so if you're not interested, just come to the browse product category. Here you have all the drivers and everything. If you know where to search what, you can use them. If you don't know, just for example, I'm going to say real-time operating system. Sorry, real-time module. Can you see LabVIEW real-time module? All right. So this I have already installed. Okay. 19 version I have already installed. Can you see? When I select 19 version, it's already saying me, if you want to remove, you can remove it from here. So uninstalling of LabVIEW also happens through this software only, right? If you want to, 2020 I have not installed, you can see it is asking me if you want to install it. If I choose 19, it says remove it. Okay. So this will, after installing LabVIEW from the internet download, if you go to your internet, you can download LabVIEW. Good. Someone is asking, also required that NI box. Okay, you want this NI MyRio also, this device also. Sir, I would suggest you to just reach me out in my personal number. I'll tell you how to procure this. So this will be my personal number. You can just reach me out in this number. All right. Or if people can just drop me mail. See, in these kind of things, I'm not the one who can really directly help you because I'm not from sales team. So how to procure it, I'm not sure. I can route you to the right salespeople. So this is my mail ID also. You can just reach me out in my mail ID. Okay. So there's one more person who has asked me if it want to work on control system design, which toolkit we need. Yes, correct. Good. Nice question. So only thing you have to do is you have control system design toolkit. So I'll just type control system. Can you see control system and design module? This is the toolkit you need to install. Okay. So control system and design. This will give you PID, fuzzy. These are the two things you'll get out of this. Okay. And you can also do real-time hardware interface also for this, for controls. All right. Yeah, sure. So hope I just answered all the questions. So any other further questions, just feel free to just reach me out. I have just shared my contact details and my mail ID also. So I'll try to help you. If there's any technical work, yes, I'm there to help you all. If like beyond that, like you wanted to be some knowing the quotation of this hardware, knowing what are the things this hardware procurement will involve, I'll not be the right person to ask. But one thing I can do is you can just ask me. I'll route you to the right person. If you can just personally reach me out to my phone number and my mail ID, I'll route you to the right person who can help you. You can just try to take help from them. All right. So hope I'm just clear. It's already 4. I think it's a time to wind up. Any further queries? Any queries you people have? Because I'll just quickly tell you what are the things we did today. First day we did basic LabVIEW and the structures in LabVIEW, simple programming with LabVIEW, numeric, Boolean, strings, okay, loops. This is what we saw first day. Yesterday we saw the continuation of it, a little bit of arrays, a little bit of loops. We saw all these things, and then we directly moved into how to use MyRio, a simple programming with MyRio, how external sensor interface, like external sensor, analog sensors, digital sensors, motor control. These are things we saw yesterday. And today from morning what we saw how protocols based sensor will work. Okay, so protocol based sensors are digital sensors usually. So how asynchronous, both synchronous and asynchronous will be working, we saw that. So following that, we saw UART, which is an asynchronous method of communication. We used LCD to see that. Then we saw SPI, I2C, both we used some sensors, randomly we used some sensors that can read and write. Both we saw, how to do that we saw. Then we did a simple programming also related to the sensors. Following that, even before that, we also saw how to make a RTEXE file. using the build specification, right click on the build specification under your MyRio, new RTXE, RT application, then just specify which VI is supposed to be a startup VI and just build the application. Then you have to set a startup and run a startup. These are two things you have to do. Then you can go further. All right, these are the things we saw today. And going further, we also tried to do the wireless communication, like, how to configure the wireless communication. But unfortunately, the device got software corrupted. And because of that reason, the device stopped responding. We were seeing that, our Max was not able to detect the device. Can you see? It says the device is not detected. Okay. So device was unable to get detected. So that we were unable to finish that particular part. So I'm just leaving it pending, because day after tomorrow, I'm going to come back to show you people how to design IoT application, how to do personal IoT, commercial IoT, industrial IoT, everything I'll be showing you, because we have whole day to do that. All right. So yesterday we also saw data dashboard, how to transfer the data from LabVIEW to your phone. We saw how that is happening. We saw that also. So these things we did today. So tomorrow is going to be fully on FPGA. So there will be one more gentleman who will be handling it to you. So coming back on Friday, once again, it's going to be IoT, as I told you. So any book refer for basic knowledge for sensor interface. From LabVIEW, we don't have any materials related to sensor technology. That's for sure. We don't have as such, because National Instrument is not much into sensor design. They are much into devices that can connect to any sensor. That's why they come up with common protocol like SPI, I2C, UART, irrespective to which company. Even today, if you see, the sensors which I used was not NI sensor. It was from Digilent. It's one of a good product. They're like very good in sensor design. So you can just go to Digilent only, and you have a lot of information about the sensor. So Digilent sensor, there is one set of sensors like Metronics kit they have. They also have something called as a embedded kit sensor. So these two sensors basically use most of the applications. Okay, most of the UART, I2C, SPI, Bluetooth, Zigbee. It uses all the different types of sensors. Okay, so you can just go to Digilent website to just download them, and you can see it. And you can see today also whatever I showed you, right? I can just show a picture also to you people. This sensor what we use, LCD what we use, right? This is the LCD we used, right? So you can see it's a Digilent sensor. Okay, I didn't even use the NI sensor. So I just used the Digilent sensor and it was fine. All right. Yes. So NI basically provides, yeah, I think I answered it. And NI they provide controllers and actuators only, but not the sensors basically. All right. Hope I answered it. Okay. So any other further queries, just feel free to reach me. I've just shared my contact details also to you people. And thank you so much, everyone. Okay. So have a nice day. I'm just winding up the session. We'll just come back tomorrow for FPGA, and thereafter we'll just go for IoT. I'll be there for IoT class. You can once again come back for further queries related to that. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Vasant sir. I request all the participants to give their feedback. I will just share the feedback link and then leave the meeting. I have posted the feedback link in the chat box, and everyone to request to give the feedback.
Yeah, welcome to everyone to the next session also. Thank you so much. I'll just take a leave from today. Thank you all. Have a nice day.